Are you looking for a town that's affordable and nice? Keep watching. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the world according to Briggs. Today we're looking at towns across the United States that are affordable and still nice places to live. Sounds kind of weird, I know. Normally, when a place is cheap, it sucks. The schools suck, high crime rate, poverty is crazy, etc., etc. Today, we give you some great options for living the American dream. Buy a house, put some money away, and not worry about tweakers stealing your recycle and Amazon packages. You know, a nice life. Towns and small towns are the new suburbs. Back in the 1940s and 50s, everyone got out of the city and headed to the suburbs. Well, the suburbs are still there, and a lot of people live there, obviously, but they're kind of played out. Now people are looking for small towns and just out-of-the-way places where they could just live a nice life. And normally, they're a little more affordable than living in the city. So in no particular order, let's take a look. Number 10, Collinsville, Mississippi. Collinsville is just north of Meridian, Mississippi, and not too far from the Alabama border. In other words, you don't have the best options if you're looking to get out of Collinsville in a hurry. The good news is Meridian isn't as bad as Jackson, Mississippi, which is a frickin' nightmare. Collinsville is an unincorporated community that has solid stats. They have just over 2,000 residents, and they're just far enough away from Meridian to make it nice. You know, you don't get any of the problems that you'd probably get if you were closer to Meridian with crime and traffic and things like that. Not like Meridian has a bunch of traffic, but you know what I mean. And you're just close enough to where if you need to go into the city for something, it's there for you. Here's where it really gets good. The median home price in Collinsville is $86,000. Now that kind of means nothing to anyone but real estate agents and mortgage people. Realistically, if you want to get a decent house, you're looking around $200,000, and that'll get you a nice house on an acre of land, and you might get a pond. Those are everywhere in Mississippi. The cost of living here is 19% lower than the national average, and crime is 67% lower than the national average. Collinsville's not a bad place to live. They get some humidity during the summer, and the insects get pretty bad, but if you're looking to retire someplace or work remotely, this might be a good option. Number 9. Burlington, Iowa. Burlington, Iowa is the type of place you wouldn't be shocked if you found out there's a bunch of polka enthusiasts here. Yeah, that and bridge clubs. They're wild in Burlington. Not a lot of excitement goes on here, but it is on the shores of the Mississippi River, so that's nice, and it can provide some entertainment. Burlington was a bustling river port in the steamboat era, and this gave the town a lot of interesting history. They do. They have a lot of interesting history, going all the way back to Lewis and Clark and everything else. They only have about 24,000 residents and have been losing population since the 1960s. The lack of jobs have been pushing people out of here forever. So if you're retired or work remotely, give Burlington a look. It might be worth it. The median home price here is about $87,200, but realistically, you're looking at in between $150,000 to $220,000. That'll get you a nice livable home, ready to move in, ready to go. Now, they have an odd amount of homes that are basically abandoned. I don't know the condition of them, but they're going for like $30,000 to $60,000. If, you've got the energy for it and about, $70,000, you could turn one of those into a nice place. Now, there is a difference between Burlington and West Burlington. West Burlington does not have the best stats. East Burlington, I guess you could call it, or just Burlington, they do. The cost of living in Burlington, Iowa is 18% lower than the national average, and crime is even with the national average, which is kind of odd for a town in Iowa. They usually have well below the crime rate. Number 8. Perry, Oklahoma. Perry is a little town of almost 5,000 residents about an hour west of Tulsa. This is a town for people that are looking to take it easy and kind of relax. They have a nice old school downtown Main Street and good people. That wasn't always the case. Back in the 1890s, when they opened parts of Oklahoma for that race for free land thing, where they shoot a gun off and everyone goes out and grabs a stake and that's your land. Yeah, Perry grew up into this wild place during that time. They had part of the town that was called Hell's Half Acre. The original town's perimeter included an A and F Street and a 1st and 9th Street. About 110 saloons and gambling houses were in operation, with many of them set up on the west side of the now existent Main Street and Town Square area. Yeah, it was a little crazy back then. Now it's a nice place to live if you want to relax. The median home price here is $79,200, but realistically, you're looking at in between $150,000 and $220,000 to get a really nice place to live. They even have a business right now. It's like a mini mart with all the product in there. You give them $215,000, you've got a business. The cost of living here is 17% below the national average, and crime is 5% lower. It's not a bad place to live. Number 7. Stuart, Virginia. The town of Stuart was first incorporated as Taylorsville, Virginia in 1792. It's been there a while. They did this in honor of an early settler named George Taylor, and these days they have almost 1,500 residents. Not a big place. And they're right down the road from Martinsville, Virginia, which has the Martinsville racetrack and what I imagine is the Confederate Flag Emporium. I went to a race in Martinsville probably 6 years ago, and there were so many of those flags, shirts, hats, bikini tops. I thought for sure they must have a giant factory somewhere in the area that's just pumping out those flags. It was weird. But Stuart is a small town with some beautiful land surrounding it. It also has good internet and great stats. The median home price here is $120,000. Now that's the median price, which you're probably looking at to get a decent home is about $200,000 to $260,000. Now it goes way up. They got some nice places with a couple acres. The cost of living here is 17% lower than the national average, and crime is 61% lower than the national average. Those are good numbers. Number 6. Ord, Nebraska. Ord was platted in 1874, and it's named in honor of Civil War General Edward O.C. Ord. They also named Fort Ord, Monterey, California after him as well. I guess he was a popular dude back then. I saw a picture of him. Here it is. He had some fancy hair and some oddly attractive facial hair. Fort Ord is gone now, and if Ord, Nebraska keeps losing people, they might have the same fate. They've been losing between 6 and 8% of their population every census since the 1980s. It's a good place to go because everything is cheap here. When people are leaving, it normally makes it cheaper for people that are moving in. The median home price is $78,000, but realistically, if you want a decent home to live in, right away you're looking at $125,000 to $200,000. Now they don't have a lot for sale in Ord right now, but the surrounding area, that's what it goes for. So you might be living out in the farm area a little bit. If you do decide to move here, make sure they got good internet if you buy a farm. Because if you're working remotely and you don't have any internet, that's kind of hard to work. The cost of living here is 21% lower than the national average, and crime is 71% lower than the national average. Like I said, they got good stats. Number 5, Kingston, Tennessee. Not too far west of Knoxville, you have the town of Kingston. Years ago, I drove through here going from Nashville to a little town just outside of Knoxville. This was in the BlackBerry days, so I didn't have a map on my phone. Well, I guess they had a map, it just wasn't that good. I pulled over to call a friend to get directions. I wasn't sure if I was on the right road. And while I'm sitting there, I look over and like 5 feet away, there's 3 little boys, just probably like 7 or 8, just looking at me. I was parked along an elementary school fence, I guess. I smiled, and one of those little punks gave me the finger. The best part is the other 2 boys were looking at the hand to make sure he did it, like they had planned this. So I rolled down my window and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna tell Santa." And the finger kid goes, "I don't care." Like this real attitude. I said, "Do you have a dog?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Is he alive?" He said, "Yes." And I said, "Not if I get to your house first." And I drove off in a hurry. I don't know. One of my finer moments as an adult, I have to admit. Anyway, other than horrible kids, this place is nice with great stats. The median home price here is $143,000, a little more expensive than some of the places on this, but all the stats are really good. The real number you're looking for a house is in between $200,000 and $250,000. They get a nice river going through town. It's a nice place to live. Cost of living is 17% lower than the national average, and crime is 54% lower than the national average. It's not a bad place to live, other than finger-giving little kids. Number 4, Denver City, Texas. Denver City is a little West Texas town southwest of Lubbock. The stats for this place are great, and that's why they're on the list. The downside is, in my opinion at least, I don't think the place looks great. I need green trees and rain, stuff like that. This is West Texas, scrub brush and dirt. They don't have much green here, but some people like that, and they have great stats, so here they are on the list. According to the Denver City Chamber of Commerce, Denver City is home to a fully functional hospital, a car dealership, a grocery store, an airport, 2 hotels, 3 churches, and 6 financial institutions. So it's got a lot of things that you'll need living in a normal town or city or whatever. The median home price here is $76,800, but realistically, you're looking at about $170,000, $190,000 on up for a decent house. The cost of living here is 20% lower than the national average, and crime is 48% lower. This is a very safe city. Now, here's something we haven't talked about on this list, but I thought I'd throw it in here because it's rare that I see this. They're graded an A for their schools. They have decent schools here too, and there's really not much to this town, and they still got good schools. So you gotta love that. Number 3. Nixa, Missouri. Nixa is a nice little town south of Springfield. This is a town that is growing. They have a lot of new home construction going on right now, and this has helped push up their median home price. From what I can tell, what they're building are homes that are a little higher than this area is accustomed to. But the town is growing, so that's plus. Nixa is a very family and community-orientated type place. So if you've got a family and you're looking for a nice small town or town, this is a good option. They got about 20,000 residents, and so that doesn't really qualify them as a small town, but they're definitely a town, not a city. The median home value here is $135,000. Like I said, that's probably a little higher than it should be, but what you're looking at realistically is anywhere from $200,000 to $250,000. Now, all these homes that I could see that they're building start off like at $400,000 and go on up to about $550,000. So there's a lot of really nice homes there, but decent ones, yeah, probably around the $200,000, $250,000 area. The cost of living here is 11% lower than the national average, and crime is 57% lower. It's a good place to live. Number 2, Soda Springs, Idaho. Besides sounding like a place on a Candyland game board, Soda Springs is a nice town of almost 3,000 people. Soda Springs got its name from the hundreds of natural springs of carbonated water that are located around the town. The springs were a famous landmark along the Oregon Trail in the 1800s. Today, the city is also known as the location of the Soda Spring Geyser. Yeah, they got a geyser. This thing was cracked open in 1934 when locals were looking for hot water for a hot pool bathing attraction. They wanted to bring people in with the nice, here we got these nice warm springs, mineral springs, you come relax, heal all your bones like they used to think of back in the day. Nah, instead, they drilled into a chamber of highly pressurized carbon dioxide gas and cold water, and the geyser was released. After running for weeks and flooding the downtown area, it was capped and now it's manually released when tourists show up. Now, this place has some good stats. The median home price here is $116,000. They've got 3 houses for sale right now. One is $150,000, which looks decent and livable. One's $229,000, again, looks decent, looks livable, a little bit nicer than the other one. And then they got a really nice one for $270,000. They also have some plots of land there that go for just range of different prices. There's one for I think it's 8 acres for less than $500,000. It's a good place to buy some land or a house. The cost of living here is 13% lower than the national average, and crime is 64% lower. Not bad. Now, before we get to number 1, I will have some other videos about subjects like this in the comment section below if you're interested. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Brodhead, Wisconsin. Brodhead is west of Kenosha, just up from the Illinois border. It's a small town of a little over 3,000 people. This is a nice town that doesn't get a lot of excitement or crime. I say that because while researching this video, I came across a news report from a local station. They spent 2 minutes of airtime on a vial of white powder someone found on a sidewalk. A dead body on the sidewalk in Los Angeles doesn't get 20 seconds of airtime unless there's 3 other bodies that went along with it. They even interviewed the vial finder at a local bar. I kid you not, they went into the bar and he was on his favorite stool and they talked to him there. It was great. Police did confirm that the substance inside there was illegal. I can't say what kind of substance it was because if I say it, I'll get demonetized. Put it this way, if you shorten the word mathematics, it sounds a lot like that. This is a great community, and the proof of that is that news report. That's taken up that much airtime. This is a great place that doesn't get a lot of crime, and they've got good people that actually turn things like that into the police. I'd live there. The median home value here is $107,000, but look at this house, $145,000 for this. It was newly remodeled. I looked at the street view, and a couple of years ago, it didn't look like this, but right now it looks like that. It was redone, $145,000. They have a lot of houses for around this $145,000 area, but realistically, a good house here is going to cost you around $200,000, $229,000 and up. They have some really nice ones that are more expensive, but it's worth it, I think. The cost of living here is 14% lower than the national average, and crime is 73% lower than the national average. I don't know if that vial shot the crime rate up or what, but yeah, 73% lower than the national average. Not bad. That's my personal favorite, Brodhead, Wisconsin. All right, that's today's list. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.